the month of December after an election, there isn't anything done, but that doesn't mean they can't hold a hearing. It just says you shall on the first Tuesday of January. It doesn't say that you can't hold. He could gavel in. Cutler could gavel it in. He should do it.
Posobiek, you're Polish. I'm Irish. You've lost me. You're ahead of me. Slow down and give me that one again. You're saying that the Speaker of the House, Cutler, the same guy who did not even lift a finger to get this resolution that would have put in abeyance the 1938 law that would have allowed an alternative set of electors to go up. That guy who didn't lift a finger. You're saying if in this close reading of the Pennsylvania Constitution, he has the technical ability to actually gavel in the new House before January and actually hold a hearing?
There's nothing in there that says he can't do it. And I challenge any lawyer or Pennsylvania constitutional scholar to find me any line in here where it says that he cannot do this.
So I'm going to bring in Jack Posobiek. What we are missing is the will. And what's missing is this kind of ossified Republican establishment that was ossified in 16 when Donald Trump came and like a sift through grass, went through all their great candidates. And they were all for Trump, rah, 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 after he won on November 8th, right? They all came out, we love this guy, right? They stayed around at the trough. And now, when you got to stand up for the country, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Georgia, and Arizona, for you, Posobiek, because you're a Pennsylvania guy, you're from the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. I thought they grew heroes in Pennsylvania. Wasn't the Liberty Hall, Independence Hall is in Philadelphia? Isn't Valley Forge outside of Pennsylvania? Isn't Gettysburg in southern Pennsylvania? Look at all the great guys that came and fought in World War I and World War II from Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is a commonwealth of heroes. What are we doing today, cowering? You get behind all these little technical terms. This guy, what was his name, Cutler and Corman? They're cowering and saying, oh, I don't know. It's not enough days. This is so hard. Let me pass the budget. I think there's a tax cut I want to look at. So, Posobiek, you're a guy from Pennsylvania. I thought you Yankees were supposed to be made of sterner stuff, brother.
Hey, Steve. Well, it turns out in this situation, what you've got here is not a situation where people are saying they can't fight behind closed doors. What they're saying behind closed doors is that they don't benefit. They are willing to sell the President of the United States and their own voters out because they don't see any personal benefit. Steve, they're saying it's going to go back to normal. Don't worry, we don't have to fight. It's just going to go back to normal. Trump will be gone, and we'll go back to our nice sinecures, our $90,000 a year job, our per diem, our travel, state-funded cars. This is what they're saying behind closed doors. I will say, though, that there are some real fighters who are in there saying, well, hold on a second. This is the party. These are our voters. How am I going to go face these people day in and day out when you're telling me that we shouldn't have to fight this out? And it comes down to Brian Cutler, because the Pennsylvania Constitution, under the section on sessions, right, in Article 2, Section 4, yes, the General Assembly shall be a continuing body during the term for which its representatives are elected, all right? They were elected for this term. Now, traditionally, in the month of December after an election, there isn't anything done, but that doesn't mean they can't hold a hearing. It just says you shall on the first Tuesday of January. It doesn't say that you can't hold. He could gavel in. Cutler could gavel it in. And if the deplorables and if President Trump
hold it, hang on,
Posobiek, he should do it.
Posobiek, you're Polish. I'm Irish. You've lost me. You're ahead of me. Slow down and give me that one again. You're saying that the Speaker of the House, Cutler, the same guy who did not even lift a finger to get this resolution that would have put in abeyance the 1938 law that would have allowed an alternative set of electors to go up. That guy who didn't lift a finger. You're saying if in this close reading of the Pennsylvania Constitution, he has the technical ability to actually gavel in the new House before January and actually hold a hearing?
There's nothing in there that says he can't do it. And I challenge any lawyer or Pennsylvania constitutional scholar to find me any line in here where it says that he cannot do this. It just says
Jack,
that he shall start the new session on the first Tuesday of January.
Can you hang on for 1 second? Take a short commercial break. I got to come back and I got to talk to you about Pennsylvania and then some broader themes here. Jack Posobiek of One American News, who's from Pennsylvania, been all over the story, doing amazing reporting, whether it's been from Arizona to Wisconsin to Pennsylvania, all of it. Jack Posobiek will join the team back in the War Room in just a second.
War Room Pandemic with Stephen K. Bannon.
The epidemic is a demon, and we cannot let this demon hide.
War Room Pandemic. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
Okay, for the audience, it's not time to get bummed, not time to get mopey, not time to go, oh my gosh, this is so terrible. Time to man up, okay? And here's what we're going to do. We're going to put Cutler's picture on the screen with his office phone number that you can call and tell him what you think is the appropriate thing to do. Is it to let the legislature go home, or is it to deal with this and particularly at least have hearings and let the Democrats cross the witnesses? It's an advocacy system. We don't have any problem with that. I want to go to Jack Posobiek. Posobiek, I want you to answer, then we get Greg Manzin. You're both Pennsylvania guys. What I'm hearing is that the senior leadership that's been so passive is sitting there going, there's no upside for us. Right now we control the House and the Senate. We've got this thing. We've got to check on the governor. And if we step out here and support Trump in these charges, and hey, maybe they're right, maybe they're wrong, but just in the process of going out there, we're gonna hit such a hornet's nest that we may potentially risk losing the House and the Senate in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania in a couple of years, and that's not worth it because these guys are career politicians. Have you heard anything along those lines?
Well, Steve, that's exactly what I've heard. That's exactly what I've heard from my sources inside Harrisburg at the beautiful state capitol. Teddy Roosevelt once said that he absolutely loved our state capitol in Harrisburg, one of the most beautiful ones. But the situation is dire because the people of Pennsylvania, the people of the Commonwealth specifically, need to go to their representatives and as constituents tell them that they did not vote for them in spite of Donald Trump being at the top of the ticket. They voted for them inclusive of President Trump at the top of the ticket. Keep in mind, Steve, that this is the same legislative body that's going to have to do battle with the Pennsylvania Supreme Court once again when it comes to redistricting, which is coming up after the next census. All right, so if they want to be in a position to do anything about the Pennsylvania State Supreme Court, remember, this is the one that has that Democrat supermajority on it that makes up laws or says you're not allowed to challenge laws even if they're unconstitutional. So if they told Sean Parnell, if they want to do anything about that Supreme Court, they got to start fighting now. And they got to show the people that they're willing to fight, because then eventually when the party puts up candidates statewide for Supreme Court, then maybe you can start to get some balance up there, right? This is the situation where it stands in Pennsylvania. You guys are going to lose the state house anyway. That's what it comes down to. You're going to lose the state house anyway.
Yes, because the rejection and Trump guy's not going to support you. Greg Mans.
Yeah, and when you look at the map of Pennsylvania on the state legislature side of things, the collar counties of Philadelphia, that is where Republicans are dying, and very fastly it's happening.
Yep.
But at the same time, we're expanding in Erie. We're expanding in Cambria County.
Working class counties.
Up in the Northeast. We're taking the fight to Democrats, these traditional blue dog Democrats that are coming over because of President Trump's movement.
Yeah, no, the nationalistic populists. You can tell that's getting
You can't tell me that's not Trump Republicans. You can't say that.
Right. I want to one last thing, Jack, before we let you go on Pennsylvania. I got another question overall, but legally, there's so much overwhelming evidence in Pennsylvania, right? And what Rudy and others laid out in the court fight. You know, we've had Parnell and Kelly's kind of kick back. They're trying to get into federal court because the Commonwealth Supreme Court didn't even want to touch the facts, touch the merits of the case. Where do we stand, you think, legally with pushing forward and still not certifying these electors?
Look, you've got to start making the type of arguments that the Supreme Court justices will turn their ears towards. You need to start making the type of arguments that will get them to prick their ears up and say, that sounds like a constitutional issue. It sounds like a federal issue. And so I know there's, one sort of low-hanging fruit out there of, well, it's a federal election. It's an election for president. Therefore, it, by default, right, by definition, is a federal issue. Yeah, that's okay, sure. That's low-hanging fruit. But you've got to start going in. We need to start talking. That's why, and Dershowitz is the one who said this, and Jack Posobiek, it's Alan Dershowitz who said this, when he was talking about equal protection, right? These are the types of phrases that Supreme Court justices are going to be looking for when they get into these issues.
Jack, what have you heard about Wisconsin? I know Michigan, I think, is now, I think it's not tomorrow. It's going to be Wednesday. There's a hearing out there for the evidence. There's all this that came about, the 100 to 200,000 illegal ballots in Wisconsin. What's the latest information you have, intel you have about lawsuits dropped in Wisconsin, lawsuits dropped in Georgia, lawsuits dropped in Arizona, lawsuits dropped in Michigan?
Tomorrow morning, Bob Spindell is coming back. There is a public meeting that's going to be held of the Wisconsin Election Commission. It's scheduled for 10 a.m. Central Time. That's 11 a.m. Eastern. That's going to be on Zoom, and people are allowed to reach in. This is a capacity of 500 participants, so what I'm going to try to do is get in on my own live stream separately. But we do know now that the Trump campaign is going to be fighting more ballots than, I don't know what the final number is yet. I've heard a few bandied around, so I don't want to say that because I don't want to be inaccurate. But I do know that the number of ballots they plan to challenge is larger than the margin of victory, right? And so tomorrow we're going to hear Bob Spindell's response, and we saw that he's been already a little vociferous on Twitter, the bobsled, his response to what happened during that Dane County recount and that Milwaukee County recount that we were talking about all last week. We're going to get Bob Spindell's response.
That's going to be amazing. But by the way, remember, in Wisconsin, it's 20,000 votes. I'm hearing a minimum is going to be 100,000 that are going to be challenged as being thrown out, which is
I've heard
5x.
Every number.
Are you hearing anything?
I
mean, it's way bigger than the margin of error, right? What they're challenging, because I'm hearing numbers up to 150 and 200,000.
Right, and I don't want to put words in their mouth because it hasn't been filed yet, but it's clearly above 100,000.
Jack, anything else we should know before we go away? Well, last thing, about Lynn Wood's suit and what they argued. The state of Georgia argued to defend Smart Tech and the computer company and Dominion Systems, voting systems, because of their intellectual property. It was the exposure of their into proprietary software that the state of Georgia thought it was appropriate in the middle of the night at 10 o'clock last night on Sunday night to be arguing in court that they should not stop the erasure or taking down of any information off these machines, which it's completely ludicrous. And if you look at the judge's ruling, it's brutal to Dominion Systems, basically saying, you guys right there, do not touch these machines. We don't want you to erase anything. We don't want any reset. We don't want any happy talk. Don't put your fingerprints on them. What are you hearing about the whole Linwood situation, Dominion voting systems, and what's going down in Georgia?
Interestingly enough, I had a comment that came in from a first-time voter today, and he said, Jack, I'm a first-time voter. I've never done this before, but, I got a question. Why don't you guys audit all the elections just regularly? What do you mean you're not auditing these things? You're not checking the electronic machines. You're not verifying signatures. And he couldn't understand why those types of verification processes that, of course, we apply to every single other aspect of our life here in the modern world would not apply to something as important as elections. There's a lot of people who are getting turned on, intellectually by what's going on and understanding the situation that has been in this country since we started. I mean, all the way back to motor voter, if you want to go that far. All the way back to motor voter is when this started in the 90s, up until now, of the absolute disgrace. It's a disgrace that we run our elections this way.
It's unbelievable. Jack, how do people get more access to you on social media?
Yeah, follow me on social media. It's at Twitter, at Jack Posobiek, Posobiec, Parler at Posobiek, and you can also watch Antifa Movie. It's a new documentary, antifamovie.com.
And you're going to be, I take it right now, you're going to try to live stream, or the people can go to your Periscope or to your Twitter, and you're going to be giving commentary on this Bob Spindell election commission meeting tomorrow at 11 o'clock Eastern.
That's the plan, and I've got word that Bob is planning to get in there, and he's going to do some work. We've got a lot of patriots out there doing work, and I love to see it. Patriots doing work. Courage is the new pandemic.
Remember, thank you, Jack Posobiek. One falls, they all fall. In Wisconsin is we've said it from the beginning, the lowest hanging fruit.